Okay, what I want to show you is an example of running a method where it has multiple parameters. So we got to make sure that you pay attention to what order you put in the parameters. Um, Here's what we're going to do. We're going to run, I have two methods here. First is called func1, the second is called func2. And we're actually going to note that func2 gets called from func1. So somebody's called func1. Func1 and func2 are both members of the same class, and somebody's running func1 already. Okay, so func1's already running. We've got this set up. I don't know what this is pointing to, but you can imagine this is pointing to something. And the first line of code says A gets 5, B gets 10, C gets 20. That's initialization of 3 variables and declaration of 3 variables. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 20. Great. This says run func2 on A and B, and it's important to note that if you ever see a function call, a method call, that doesn't have something with a dot before it, that means use the same this as I'm using now. So whatever object we called func1 on, I'm going to call that same, we're going to call func2 on that same, with that same object. So we make a func2 and it's pointing at whatever func1 was pointing at, func2 is also pointing at now with its this. All right. The next step is we have to make boxes for any parameters that func2 has. In this case, it's got A and B. Those are the formal parameters. So we make boxes for that. And then we need to copy the actual parameters, the actual values from func1 into these boxes. So we do them in order. A goes in the first box, B goes in the second box. It just so happens the boxes have the same names, but it doesn't really matter. So the actual A gets copied into the formal A. The actual B gets copied into the formal B. We're off and running. Func1 is paused right now. We're into func2, right? We have to do all of func2 and then we'll go back and keep going. So it says int C, that's another declaration. We make a new box called C. It starts at the default value for an int of 0. C gets A minus B. Evaluate the right-hand side, put it in the left, right? So what's A minus B? Well, A is 5, B is 10, A minus B is -5. Print A minus B is, so we're going to print A minus B is, and then whatever C is. So up pops our terminal and we print A minus B is -5. We're done the method, we cross out anything we did. Normally I would just leave that and redraw more boxes as I need them, but I'm doing this on a slide. I want you to be able to see everything, so I'm just going to delete that. All right. We're back in here. We just finished running this line of code, so now we're on the next line. Oh, look at that. We got to run func2 again. Every time we run the method, we have to make a new box for it, point it to the same this as this one, because there was nothing before the dot, right? Do the setup for the formal parameters, right? So there's A and B. Now look at this. In this case, B is going to go in the first box and A is going to go in the second box, but we don't care. First box goes to first box, 10 goes to A. Second box goes to second box, right? Second box here is A, second box here is B, so that A from the func1 gets copied into B from func2. Cool. Run the method, right? Int C, we make a new box. C gets A minus B, there you go. System.out.println, A minus B is, oops, that terminal window disappeared, but there it is. Cool. Done the method, cross everything out. We're back up in func1 again. Now we're running this next line. Okay, make a new box, have the same this, right? First box goes to first, second box goes to second. Sorry, first argument in here, right? First parameter goes to first, second goes to second, so C is going to go into A and C is going to go into B. So C from func1 goes into A from func2, and C from func1 goes into B from func2. And we're going to skip a bunch of steps, and we end up with A minus B is 0. This gets crossed out. Suppose there were one more line of code here. Okay, suppose the very last thing it said was to print A, B, and C, right? Well, this is obvious, right? If those other things are crossed out, the only A, B, and C you have are these ones. But where are we? We're in func1, so we're going to look at the local variables for func1. So that's exactly what you expect to get. Good. Hope that made sense.